I mean, in literally 15 years of me doing this, I've dealt with 8 large compliance breaches that were costly to our colleagues. And we are at 18 in 5 months.
Which
So
we're 18 now that have.
this wonderful thing called AI that happened and is providing just amazing things for us to use in our business and our personal life also has a monster side to it because it can be used for lack of a better term, for evil. And that is exactly what happened in the HIPAA world because the cyber criminals who were not that sophisticated, to be honest with you, met AI. And now AI is writing, how do we attack offices? How do we find who's not compliant? So up until literally 5 months ago, HIPAA breaches were predominantly what they called spray and pray, which was, we're just going to blast out these phishing emails. We hope somebody opens them and we pray that they're silly enough to give us money for data that we have destroyed in the acquisition.
Hello and welcome to the Crystal Podcast on iCode Media. Today, I have my good friend and partner in Practice Performance Partners, Dr. Joe Deloche, and I wanted Joe to come on and talk about some of the security updates that we have just updated within our HIPAA program within Practice Performance Partners, and why it's important, what we're seeing in terms of helping practices who have gotten themselves into sticky situations, and why this change is key to your practice. Whether you use Practice Performance Partners for your compliance or don't, the things that you need to think about so that your IT security does not break your HIPAA policies and lead to a huge breach. So, Dr. Joe Deloche, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think the discussion has to start with what in the world happened. Because HIPAA is nothing new. Security standards are nothing new. And even though everyone, should be concerned about HIPAA, there wasn't a whole lot because the reality was there was a very small number of people getting in trouble. Um, and it's like, well, what changed? And if you've seen any of our stuff, the statistic is very clear what changed. I mean, in literally 15 years of me doing this, I've dealt with 8 large compliance breaches that were costly to our colleagues. And we are at 18 in 5 months.
Which
So
we're 18 now that have reached out to us.
yeah. So it's like, oh my, what in the world? That's pretty staggering if you just think about it for a minute.
Yeah.
And the answer is just very, very, very clear. This wonderful thing called AI that happened and is providing just amazing things for us to use in our business and our personal life also has a monster side to it because it can be used for lack of a better term, for evil. And that is exactly what happened in the HIPAA world because the cyber criminals who were not that sophisticated, to be honest with you, met AI. And now AI is writing, how do we attack offices? How do we find who's not compliant? How do we get into their system? How do we formulate these emails, these phishing emails that even the experts can hardly tell are fake? And that's what changed everything. So we went from cyber criminals working in their garage, in the Ukraine or Russia somewhere, to multi-million dollar corporations who are just running AI crazy with this stuff. So their ability to get in, their ability to change your system, to capture, it's all changed. So up until literally 5 months ago, HIPAA breaches were predominantly what they called spray and pray, which was, we're just going to blast out these phishing emails. We hope somebody opens them and we pray that they're silly enough to give us money for data that we have destroyed in the acquisition. Now it's seek, preserve, seek, find, and preserve. So it's very sophisticated how they pick out that we're going to go look at Chris Wolfe's practice by surfing the internet and analyzing what Chris Wolfe does on the
Mm.
internet and Chris Wolfe's staff does. And then we're going to craft a way to go get into him. And now we have what we call an exfiltration process where we can extract Chris's data and not destroy it, not hurt it in any manner whatsoever. So now when we say we have your data and we want $120,000 from you, or we're releasing this to the dark web, you can't just go, I got a backup, go drop dead. I'm just going to reinstall, I'm going to reinstall my backup and we're back in business because they truly have that data now. So the whole thing has just dramatically changed. And it's all because of AI.
This last 5 months as a partner with you, right? So you and I have been partners now for about 18 months in our merger of our businesses, our consulting businesses. But then I also still own a practice. And so let me tell you about how this has affected both our partnership, how our partnership has affected my thought on how my practice HIPAA security. But actually, it has impacted the last 5 months. My view of what's gone on has impacted it much more greatly than my partnership. So let me tell you a little bit about how I would have viewed HIPAA security, call it 5 years ago. And I think this is directionally accurate for how most people think about HIPAA security today. So 5 years ago, before we were partners, but we were friends and I used PCS, listen, I got a box to check. And I need to check a box. I don't really care if that box that I'm checking is accurate. All I care about is that I've checked the box. And if I check the box, then everything's fine. Because the likelihood of me having a breach is infinitely small. Now, I know you talk about the fact that it's actually a HIPAA violation is more likely than a malpractice suit. But pretty much, like, even if I didn't think about it this way, but I do think about it now this way, is like, if you're only checking the box, at least you have sort of an insurance policy against really bad stuff. But that's how I would have viewed it. And I think that's how a lot of people view it even today, is
Yeah.
that, like, I don't really care what's in my HIPAA policy. I don't even really want to look at it. I'm just going to do it. And if somebody asks me, I have one. Then over the last few years, since I've been working with PCS, what I realized was that part of that box checking is to make sure that my staff at least check their boxes, meaning they've gone through training. I can prove that if they have some sort of violation, at least I did what I was minimally required to do on paper by having them check a box. And that's all I cared about. Over the last 5 months, and this has really nothing to do about my peek behind the curtain for what you do, so much as I've seen so many of these breaches come along, and I view it through the lens of a practice owner, because I am one, is now I care so deeply about a risk that one of my employees, who I love and who are doing great things for our patients, makes a stupid mistake and clicks on a stupid email that causes an entire breach. So what you have described over the last 5 months has caused me, as a practice owner, who I get to see peek behind the curtain because I'm partners with you, but I also get to see because I paid attention broadly to it, is that I no longer just want to check a box. I want to actually protect patient information with, like, all the things I possibly can. And so am I experiencing something that is going on more broadly, or am I just, because I have a peek behind the curtain with what you're going through in your experience when you talk to people, are more people really caring about PHI versus just checking the HIPAA box? And if so, how does that security, or if not, why should they?
I think you're exactly right. And I think that was absolutely 99% of the opinion of our colleagues. HIPAA was just something I had to check a box. And yeah, every once in a while somebody gets in trouble, but I probably won't. The change is instead of being a little static box you check, HIPAA has become a functional animal. And it's just entirely different. Uh, you said you have emotionally changed. I mean, you've said this about me. I mean, people that know me, I mean, I'm extremely passionate about things, and my feelings about HIPAA have entirely
Mm.
changed over the past 6 months. To see the damage this is doing, I mean, it hurts to the core to see this going on. And to some degree, it's like I'm like, dang it. I've worked for 15 years to put all this stuff in place so this won't happen. And for the most part, everybody thought it was a checkbox. And it's like, why didn't you listen to me?
Mm.
And so it really, it just gets me to the core to see this happening. I mean, for a fact, we've discussed this. I mean, one of these breaches, and people have asked me for says, tell me what happened. And the first thing that happens if someone calls me with a breach is I sign a non-disclosure agreement with them. And there's a whole lot of reasons we have to do that. Some legal, some how we manage these breaches, but I can't talk about people. And believe me, none of these people are going to go get on a podium and say this is what happened
Hmm.
for similar reasons. But one of these, I mean, I have shed tears over one of these. It was so bad. I mean, I saw one of our colleagues go down. I mean, they're done.
Mm.
They completely changed careers. And it's like that's a private practice, shut their doors, and they're done.
Never to return.
And that's just, it's heartbreaking. So, and then I think about, where we used to say that it's minuscule percent that's going to happen. I've also said, well, wait a minute. I've had 18. We have 2,000 clients. All but one of the 18 were already our clients. One of them was not. So how much is this really happening? And you've told me I have friends that are not our clients that this has happened to, and I hear this all the time now. So it's even way bigger than my 18 number.
Yeah.
And it's not just optometry. I mean, this is across and it's not just healthcare. I mean, the banks are getting hit. I mean, everything's getting hit at massive, proportions, all for exactly the same reason. So it is just dramatically changing. That's what you're realizing is it's just a different animal than what we kind of grew up with HIPAA over the last decade or so. So
Well, so yeah, so that I think the a few things that really wanted additionally, and I think you're right, where I'm like I really want to make sure, and obviously like you always want to protect patient PHI, but like now it's almost like you're passionate about it. I'm more passionate about it in my office,
yeah,
and passionate doesn't mean I love it. It just means like it's one of the things I'm continually reminding our team about. And so I think there's a few filters that I think are important. The first one is within the PCS app, part of PPP, there basically allows you to customize your own. And I want you to tell me kind of why these things are important. So instead of saying, and I will see this on email threads, like, hey, can you send me your HIPAA compliance manual? And then people just think like I've got somebody else's, so it becomes mine, and I can just give that. But
yeah,
within the PCS app, we give you recommendations, but you actually customize it for your own practice, and it's a living document.
yeah,
And to that point, when you and Peter put out the IT security update, it basically said, hey, Chris, you got to go back in and change a few things, answer, I think it was like 5 or 6 questions, make some other comments about some other things, and made it super easy, by the way. But it made me realize like, oh, my practice is not Joe's practice, and it's not Peter's practice, and it's not even the guy that's down the street's practice. It's my practice, and how important it is that it's customizable, where there's a lot of people that provide you with, HIPAA compliance documents that are not customizable for your practice. So the first thing is it ought to be customizable. The second thing is it ought to be easy to use. But then I start thinking, okay, well, what are the layers of protection that I'm putting in place? The first one is a solid personalized, customized HIPAA manual that is specific to my office. Then training of my staff that really matters so that they think about all the things that could go wrong with HIPAA that they certify that they've taken. Okay, so we can check that box. And then the second thing that really the HIPAA, the IT security portion of this that makes me think and cringe more and more and more that PPP does not do, although we can guide you with helping you find these types of people, but you really do want an IT security company that actually cares about whether or not people can get into your data and has layers. So that's the next layer outside of a good HIPAA policy and training manual is having an IT company that cares about security as much or more than you do. And then the last layer is, in my opinion, and maybe I'm missing a layer, is a good cybersecurity policy so that if, and maybe even when you do have a breach, and when I say when, RxNT impacted 1,300 of my patients. And I did nothing that could have, and everything I did could not have prevented that breach, right? Nothing that I did caused that breach, and yet it still happened. So the point is that those are kind of my layers of security.
Yeah.
Where am I going wrong? What else can you kind of clarify within those thoughts? The most common questions I get include, what ophthalmological codes or evaluation and management codes should I use? What ICD-10 codes do I need to bill with this CPT code? What CPT codes can be billed together and what can't? And my favorite, how do I manage a patient who has diabetes who comes in for a quote-unquote routine eye exam? These questions really highlight the confusion and uncertainty that serves as a daunting hurdle for providers, makes it more challenging for them to care for their patients and provide those patients with the best opportunity for a lifetime of ocular health and clear vision. That's why we built iCode Education, for this specific purpose. Our mission is to provide optometrists with resources to help you understand disease states, revenue cycles, and billing and coding so that you can put that on autopilot and truly care for your patients. Check out iCodeEducation.com. That's EYECODE education.com. We've developed a premier billing and coding bundle that includes all of our billing and coding resources in one place. We also have a 10% discount code just for listeners of this podcast. Enter the coupon code EYECODEMEDIA22 at checkout. We'd love to work with you. Check out iCodeEducation.com. The Life Meter has changed the way optometrists talk about nutrition to their patients. Instead of telling patients they should take something, they can show them their carotenoid score in real time. It's objective, it's quick, and it allows them to track progress over time. And patients love seeing that improvement. And it turns prevention into something measurable. So check out the Life Meter for your practice.
No, I think you capsulized it really well. And you start with the idea of customization is not just a good idea. It actually is the law inside HIPAA. HIPAA said you can't, this has to be unique to your business. Whether you're a podiatrist or an optometrist or a cardiovascular surgeon, it has to be unique to the way you do business. And everyone doesn't have the same layer of antivirus protection. Everybody doesn't have the same. And to speak to IT, half of the breaches I've dealt with had no IT company.
Yeah.
We have harped on that so much. You cannot be your own IT. It's way more complicated now.
Yeah.
And half of those breaches, literally, they were the IT, their nephew was the IT expert, somebody was the IT expert, but not a real IT expert. And interestingly enough, Chris, one other thing we're finding out is there's a big difference in IT companies. And some of these, in a couple of these breaches, their IT company were going, this is out of our wheelhouse. We've never dealt with anything like this. So the selection of your IT company now becomes even more important because they have to be specialists in this area. And then the last thing you said, cyber insurance, I used to laugh at it. 9 months ago, I would laugh at cyber insurance. Now it's almost like it's one of the most important insurances you can have. It's probably going to pay before a slip and fall does. I promise it's going to pay before a malpractice claim does. And, the numbers, everyone's heard the numbers. I mean, 300,000, 400,000, over 500,000. If you don't have insurance, you're closing your doors and, you know, having a different career at that point. So cyber insurance has become a big, big deal. Um, and I think even those that had cyber insurance had the old style cyber insurance. Because I've got one this morning. My policy's for $25,000. Do I
Hmm.
need to look at this? I'm like, $25,000 won't pay the IT expert. So, we're looking at half million, $1 million policies now to cover this. So the whole thing has just totally changed overnight. And, just one more clarification. And I know you knew this when you say PHI. Everyone still just needs to understand this has nothing to do with PHI, really. It has nothing to do with medical information. This is identity theft. That's
Yeah.
all that matters. That's what they want. They don't care about the medical record. They just want the personal identity information. And so when people say, well, I had this breach, but they didn't get my EHR. They just got all, their name, address, phone number, email, social security number. And I'm like, that's all they
That's what they
wanted.
want. Yep.
They got exactly what they wanted. One other comment I want to make is, it's like we're making it sound like this just all came out of the blue. And it did to some degree. But interestingly enough, OCR, Office of Civil Rights, knew, I mean, they were ahead of the game. They knew this was coming. So the amendment that put into place all these changes you're talking about that we just made, that actually came out in 2024 and it was not implemented. And that's a whole political discussion of why it was not. But they really, I mean, all these compliance agencies now are not passing a whole lot of new laws because either an executive order or a court is going to overturn them.
Hmm.
So they're just kind of sitting there doing nothing, which doesn't protect us very well at all. OCR just found a way around it because the core concept of HIPAA said you have to do what's reasonable. And reasonable is for Chris Wolfe's practice,
Right.
which may be different than reasonable for St. John's Hospital, but
Hmm.
it has to be reasonable. The deputy director of OCR did a video literally 3 months ago where he came on and he said, we're not implementing the amendment, but we have gotten together and we consider everything in the amendment to be what? Reasonable.
Reasonable. Yeah.
So they kind of in a back door made the amendment law because you will be judged based on the amendment. So I unfortunately, and I really almost apologized to our profession for this, and I think every other compliance company did the same thing. We were all just sitting back waiting for OCO to say this is law
Hmm.
because you don't want to put out all this stuff and go, oh, this is just our opinion. We think this is a good idea, but it's not really the law. And at PPP, we all made the decision that we're not going to wait. That we're going to go ahead and do this because we have to do this to protect our colleagues. So if anybody listening wants to write me an email and go, Joe, this isn't the law, I already know that.
Hmm.
But in a roundabout way, it is the law because it
Well,
will
and
be what you're judged on.
yeah, and also I think it's a reflection of yeah. So to your point, uh, it's practically the law because that's how they're going to enforce it. But to the larger point, if people are thinking around those lines better, then they're going to be able to practice. They're going to be able to protect their practice and their patients'
Yeah.
PHI and other information that's more valuable. But most importantly, I think to us, and I know because I've talked to you about it, is that these are the little things, the uncertainty. If we can actually create more certainty and more security around your practice and help you do that, then we can remove some of the uncertainties that are going to leave you with less confidence about, hey, I want to go into work today so I can take care of patients, as opposed to, golly, this is just a burden, and I don't really. As soon as I can get out of practice, I'm done. I'm going to sell my practice as soon as I can do that. I'm done. Like
I hear
trying
that.
to, yeah, no, it's true, and that's the thing that really weighs on me is like that practice you're talking about. is never coming back in that town.
Yeah.
And, I don't know how big the town was. I'm not going to ask you to tell how big the town was, but I know there's towns across the country that if that were to happen, that town no longer has a doctor. And that doctor might have been there for the next 10 years, and they might have been able to cultivate a new doctor that wants to come into the practice and support the town. But these are just very quiet losses that communities will have across the country that if that happens, on the worst case scenario, those practices are gone, never to return. But on the other side of it is if you're practicing with uncertainty and these things are kind of swirling around in the back of your mind, like, I'm not sure if I've done my HIPAA right. I think I've got my buddy's HIPAA document down the street and I put it in place, but I don't really know if I'm going to get, like, those uncertainties swirl, then it's a lot easier for people to be like, listen, I've got enough money. I could practice for the next 5 years, but I'm not going to risk it. I'm done. I'm out of here. Or I'm going to sell to this person who may not want to perpetuate my ideals of what practice should be. So I'm out. I'm done. And,
Yeah.
and so then so then that just harms patients and then it harms the profession. And so that's, I think, why I'm so passionate about it. I think from talking to you, over bourbon and other, over dinner, you're so passionate about it as well.
Yeah.
What are any parting thoughts you have about it?
The Clarity One Day is a versatile silicone hydrogel lens that is daily, that it fits well across a wide range of patients. In my practice, we appreciate how predictable the fit is and how comfortable patients find it. Because the Clarity family includes sphere, toric, and multifocal options, patients can stay in the same platform as their vision changes and those visual needs adjust. And that consistency makes follow-up care much easier for my patients.
If you're ready to stop feeling overwhelmed and start running a safer, more profitable practice, here's the next step. First, book a strategy call with us, Practice Performance Partners. We'll uncover the biggest risks and opportunities in your practice. Then, choose the package that fits your goals. From there, we'll get you launched with confidence, with clear systems, with expert support, and with peace of mind, knowing your practice is protected and set up to grow. Don't wait until something goes wrong. Book your strategy call with us, Practice Performance Partners, today.
As bad as it is, I think one thing I have realized through this whole new process that we put into place is I actually feel like you can sleep better than we used to be able to. Um, with moving the IT bar up with things like, okay, you can know, we still walk into practices and the practice password is 2020. And it's like, we're like, that's pretty silly. You need a random nonsense complex password. And now guess what? That's not enough.
Yeah.
Now we have to have
Two-factor
multi-factor
authentication.
And the IT experts, the forensic guys are telling us that's probably the most powerful thing that you can do. That one thing is one of the most powerful things you can do. Encryption no longer is a good idea. It's a mandate at every single level. All of these things that we're putting in place, I think, have raised the bar to where we truly can say we have done everything that technology puts in our plate that we can do to protect. And then the new focus is on insurance. So to me, it's a little bit like how we take care of our patients. We train ourselves, we go to CE, we educate, we increase our education, we buy new technology that's going to allow us to take care of their glaucoma in a more appropriate manner. I just don't think that many optometrists go home at night and lose sleep over malpractice because they're doing what they are supposed to do, but they have insurance. And even if it did happen, it's like car insurance. Insurance is insurance. I hate insurance.
Yeah.
Until you need it, it's like a total waste of money. But when you do need it, so I think what we've done is we've kind of completed the loop a little bit, full technology, and the forensic guys are telling us this, you can't stop this. The AI guys are ahead of us, and we're just trying to keep up with the new stuff they come up with. So we check off the IT boxes best that we possibly can, and then we protect ourselves with insurance. it's very much like we do in practice. And I think if we do that, honestly, it's still a monster, but I almost rest easier because I think the package is better now. The protection is better now. And what's happened has forced us into making concentrating on doing everything we have to, with the final step of, but we have insurance when it doesn't work. And and you said if or when. The forensic guys say when, not if.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a matter of, work with us, work with somebody. But
no, Joe, I'm going to say it clearly. They should work with us. There's nobody else in optometry that understands the profession, that cares about the profession, like Joe Deloche and like the partners at PPP.
Yeah, I agree.
We've customized it for optometry. We have created a solution that basically I just went through the other day. That's why I wanted to have you on the discussion. Is I was able to update my policy manual in basically 5 minutes of thought and a few clicks of the button. If you're a PPP member and you have the HR compliance package, which all of our members do, then go in, update that, and rest assured. Make sure you've talked to your IT guys. Make sure you're confident in what they do. We provide information about what you should look for within your IT guys. And then have your cybersecurity. It doesn't cost you that much. And then sleep well. But you should do business with PPP because we care about the profession. We're I think that's the bottom line. We have a better product. So we'd love to work with you if you're not. If you are, complete the steps and you're all good.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for coming on, Joe. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. We will. Thanks.
Appreciate it.